is the setting of the entire system, the regulation, the institution, and after that, the ethic and culture that we build within the system.
Yeah.
I think this is very fundamental. The bad thing that we have is it seems like in Indonesia we have a problem of understanding the system and how the system works. First of all, we already democratized our constitution and the entire law after the constitution, meaning that we don't put any more power and absolute power among the institution. We democratize and we control each other. That's what we call as the check and balances system. Before, in the non-democratic era, we call it this the executive heavy system, where the system name is concentration of power upon the president. But now we democratize everything, and for us there is no more institution that as the super body institution. But then in 2005, we found, 2002, we found a new institution called KPK. We made KPK to help our system migrate from a non-democratic culture to a democratic culture. But then what happened is KPK failed to understand their mission and use their mission is only to execute, what they see as, corruption conduct within the system, and by using the big power that they have, especially in taping everyone and the public officer. That's why we saw a massive action of KPK, and it is only based on the taping activities, while they listen to the conversation of everybody who do the project, who plan the project, and who in the end execute the project. Take the latest case of the AEKTP. According to the audit of the Indonesian Supreme Auditor, BPK, and also the Government Internal Auditor, BPKP, it's perfect. Everything has been done perfectly, and including BPK said there is no government money or public money going out of the system or corrupted, But then KPK used another sources, the testimony of a former member of the parliament who is also former trustee of ruling party at the time, Nazaruddin, that said, there are money going through the commission, internal government commission, or commission 2 here in the DPR, amount like 2.3 trillion rupiah going through Setya Novanto, and almost all members of the parliament in that commission get the money, in total 2.3 trillion rupiah, or like more than 200 million US dollar. So based on that testimony, then KPK accused everyone of having bribery from this project. But it is very difficult for you to bring as many as possible facts, to accuse everyone, because that is not the way the system works. You have to find what is corrupted from the government money. It's not the issue that among the businessman and the politician, there is money after the project was already done, and the government said there is no corruption in it, or there is no public money out of this project. So this is my criticize to KPK. So let's start to work again to help our system that we set up from beginning as the democratic system, finding a good law, and we already made many good law in all sectors. Second one is open your institution and let everybody works like within the aquarium, so every public officer will be seen, not only clean but seen to be clean. And that will make our public ethic, working with professionalism, openness and everything. So that is my proposal basically, but it is contradict with the way of the KPK works. KPK is trying to find something that we don't find in our system, and it's not made by the auditor, but by taping of the individual, of the public officer.
Right. So are you saying that all that money that can't be accounted for didn't get divided up among all those people as was alleged?
Because there's no fact. So you will not find that money using this methodology.
Yeah.
You can find that. But you get the news. That's why I said law is not journalism. Journalism is journalism, but law enforcement is law enforcement. You have to go through the fact, the evidence, Not somebody said that. No, it's not the law. The law, you have to real and concrete evidence in your hand.
And who was alleged from your party to have received money as part of this project?
Because this is in the previous period. The project was in 2010, so meaning that it's previous period, because the previous period was 2009, 2014, and the chairman of my party, his name is Jazuli, and he accused of having, I'm not mistaken, 37,000 US dollar, if I'm not mistaken. But he said, I don't attend that commission. How can I get the money without having power in that commission? That he said publicly. So, but again, this is not the result of an audit. This is a thing from a man called Nazaruddin, who was the trustee of the ruling party at the time, the Democrat Party.
Right.
So it's very difficult for you to get the evidence, And I'm afraid because this man is managed to become the justice collaborator of KPK, while he himself having 162 cases, but only 6 of the cases bring into justice by the KPK, and only 2 of the cases bring him into the court and guilty, but 4 only go through his staff, office boy, driver, employee, and something like that. So it seems like, for me, it's like fiction, just like a Hollywood movie. That is fiction, but you like it because there is so many sensation, because this is about big officer, from the local government to a minister, member of the parliament. It's good show, everyone like to see it. But what we can get, out of that, nothing.
Right.
You don't bring back the government money, and corruption is not, working that way.
But you're talking very specifically here about the KTP kind of case,
Yeah.
right? But let's talk more generally. I mean, the DPR is considered by the public to be one of the most corrupt institutions in Indonesia.
Exactly. That's because it's the result of the survey, corruption perception, and when you focus on taping a member of parliament and you get their conversation about the money and everything they can get from their power, then you can easily bring to the public the perception that the most corrupt institution and official in Indonesia is the parliament. And that's what we got now.
But are you saying then that that's a misperception, that perception is unjust, that it isn't as corrupt here as people?
Exactly, because the principle is the money that we manage every year from our national budget, 99% go through the executive. And if you want to corrupt something, you go through executive. You can't corrupt something where the money is not there. Just like in the parliament, we only manage for ourselves less than 1% of the total national budget. And how can you become the most corrupt institution?
So do you blame that misperception on the KPK?
I said to KPK, why don't you make up your mind and started to work through collaborative action within the system? Because as far as I understand, and my understanding of reading this law and the story of this law from the beginning, the aim of the law is to make an orchestra for anti-corruption activities. And you have to use the power of everybody to become the member of the orchestra, including the president. But what happened is, it seems like they take over the works from the president and let the president not involved in the anti-corruption activities, and they fight against the parliament just to get legitimacy that I'm working to fight a big and mega corruption. But in fact, they didn't get it. This is my, since begin my criticism, I write a book about that, and I send to them 20 pieces, and they don't invite me, and we don't talk then, and they keep fighting and taping everybody or asking everybody to become justice collaborator and saying and sing the names of every member of the parliament. So it's it makes our institution like very bad.
Yeah. I mean, just you mentioned there the president and how you think that the president has been somehow sidelined by KPK and is unable to kind of to have.
I think the last president, two-period president, 10 years, SBY, 10 years, working with KPK, with no coordination and no orchestratic action, to face the corruption. But then what happened, especially in the second period of the President Sebagian, his party, was, I mentioned the name of this trustee, he's the chairman of the party or the CEO of the party, and the trustee, director of the party, is now in the jail. And then the party dropped from the biggest party to only number 4, which more than 80 seats lost in the parliament. So how can a two-period president has no strategy even to keep his party away from the corruption accused by the KPK. And how can KPK has no coordination to tell the president, yeah, that your surround now started to become corrupt. All of the member of the cabinet from Pak SBY's cabinet, except Pak SBY himself, already invited by KPK and questioning about their action when they are in power regarding the corruption issues of so many issues. Only Pak SBY is not invited, and it seems like probably Pak SBY then having some kind of agreement. So you can accuse everyone except me and my family, probably, he said like that.
Mm-hmm. So you think KPK is flexing its muscles too much and has too much power?
Yeah, that is concrete, I mean, the way he tape everyone and he control of the process of the pro justicia process, from taping, investigating, and then prosecuting, including controlling all those guys in the jail, and giving them justice collaborator and everything. It goes directly to KPK. KPK also is not really happy with the audit, and then he go after the auditors, to accuse them also that they are also getting the bribery from another institution. So there is no more institution in Indonesia except KPK. They don't believe on the police, they don't believe on the Attorney General, they don't believe on the court, they don't believe on the hospital, and everything, Only if KPK say yes, everything become yes. This is made the president keep away from anti-corruption movement and the orchestrated action of anti-corruption. For me, there is no way. The sole responsibility should go in to the president, because the name of the system is presidential. Yeah. When Jefferson write the Constitution for America, he said, why we name it presidential? Because the system, the man responsible for this system named president. So the president should involve directly and lead also KPK.
So you don't think that Jokowi is involved at all? And did he? I mean, Setya Novanto was at his daughter's wedding, and then a few weeks later, Setya Novanto was in prison, right? Yeah. So did he decide? Did Jokowi have any say in that, or was it all happen with that beyond his power?
No, he basically, I'm afraid Jokowi is not really understand what is happening within the KPK, and because of this issue, he seems like don't want to go, because he don't want to his hand become dirty.
So he's standing back.
Yeah. And that is bad for our system, because then who lead the country basically, also in the action of anti-corruption, who is in charge?
Right.
You cannot let everybody in charge to these very big issues.
Yeah.
If you say anti-corruption is fundamental for the future of the country, you have to lead that, because you are the president elected by more than 100 million of Indonesian people.
So let me just be clear what you're saying here. You're saying that the accusations made around the KTP are wrong. That basically this has been led by the KPK, which has too much control, and has even to the point where the president has no control over controlling corruption in the country.
Yeah.
These are all the things you say. And you don't think then, for instance, I mean, why doesn't Jokowi, I mean, given that Setya Novanto is chairman of, or was chairman of the second largest party and a party which is part of his coalition, why do you think Jokowi doesn't step in to try and kind of say, wait a minute, this isn't right or whatever?
Who?
Jokowi. Why doesn't Jokowi help?
If I'm the leader of the coalition, I will bring all this, the members of the coalition and asking about this issue. Jokowi has he's none. He's doing nothing for managing the issues.
Right.
So I think he don't want to involve, and he perceived, especially the millennial, by sending a message that he don't want to be involved in this issue. It's a right deed, It's a right action. It's not good action. The president cannot, keep his hand away from this very crucial issue.
But the public welcome the fact that Setya Novanto has been arrested because everybody thinks that he is very good.
Yeah, I think all the member of the parliament, if accused by the KPK now, the public will be happy. Not only Novanto. Imagine, the man like Irman Guzman, for example. He's a rich man. I know him from 1995, during my university times. How can he just get like $10,000 US or less? I think because of the rate now is quite high, like $7,000 US only. How can he? Rich man like him just getting very small amount of money in the middle of the night, but the people, it seems like happy with this corruption issue. It seems like just like Hollywood movie. Everyone is like to see that there are public officer accused of having corruption and bribery.
But it is true, isn't it? That just to move away from the Setya Novanto and the KTP case. To become a member of parliament costs quite a lot of money, right?
That is what I said to the Ministry of Finance at the beginning. Like 5 times I interrupt the meeting, and I said, if you want to see Indonesia free of corruption, you have to start by managing the political funding, political financing. It's impossible to get this country clean of corruption if those public officers go to get their vote and sit, by spending their individual money, because individual money means that you get the money from informal sources. Sometimes you get funding from your donor, and this donor probably having deep interest to your power. And they will surround you during your power. So you have to start to manage it. There is only 2 ways for me to fund political activities. By government, 100% using the public money from the public sources, or you mean the national budget, or like in America, you invite private entity to fund your political party and your political activities, but you open for the audit,
Right.
You make it clear, But now in Indonesia, it's not clear. When the election time coming, you spend everything that you have, your land, your car, including your house sometimes. And then after you get lost, you don't get your seat, and you are not happy. But after you get seat, and then your neighbor said, oh yeah, he can bring back his money because of he get the seat and win the election. What does it mean? You mean that the public really want you to get extra money just to fill what you are already spent during your election time? And it started of the corruption issues. This is what I try, but it seems for me, it's Indonesian leader, he's failed to understand big issues, They don't really understand big picture of the issue, on how you start and how you end it, And that's my criticize to all the government, but probably they don't understand me.
Right. So, I mean, what, are you pushing for some kind of legislation that would change political financing?
I basically want to concentrate on following the presidential system, especially the American system, on how you set up your legislative chambers, and get all the chambers have power to oversight the government. Because if you get a good legislative body, and this is my challenge now to convince every political party to get a good legislative law, I think and I believe that we can manage the country better, including, in my perspective, we don't need more extra or state auxiliary body. We only need the normal institution, the police, the attorney, the court, the judges, all in one system. So to make sure that everyone get free and fair trial, equality before the law.
Right.
That's what we need,
So what you're saying is, if you have the right laws in place, the right legislation in place, all you need are the courts, the judges, the police, and everything else should work properly. What you're saying is that the KPK is an extra body that, in some ways, kind of has too much power.
They work with the different standard, The same case, corruption case, if it is go through KPK, you will get more persecution. If you go through the police will give you normal, because it's based on different law, So for me, this is a kind of the betrayal of the principle of equality before the law. So the government should has, or the state should have only one say, to the law. It's same versus same institution and the same decision.
Right.
But if not, you will hide from KPK. You can go to the police.
But you can't tell me that the police aren't corrupt or the judiciary isn't corrupt. I mean, they're very
but it's everything is on the way. Once you have the strong parliament, everyone will be, from time to time, oversight and investigate by the parliament. And I also want to ask in the law that we will write, we can order a special audit to every institution that very difficult for us to investigate their behavior, especially the judicial institution. So this is also go through the parliament, because if not, you given this power to another super body institution, who can guarantee there is no corruption in it? I myself, I really believe that the biggest corruption now happening in the KPK, because they hide some big issue and they give us very small issue every day to make everybody happy. So this is the the betrayal, and that's also corruption. I mean, including the corruption of the public mind. You make every day a new definition on what is corruption is by giving them fake reality. The people now is crying about the what is in the South Jakarta, North Jakarta, reclamasi.
In the north.
500 trillion rupiah project, and already someone bribed a member of the parliament, local council, but then only 1 or 2 person guilty. It's impossible. There is a conglomerate behind. There's a big money behind. But KPK dealing with this, conglomerate, hiding some of the individual inside. So many problems. But then they go after the police. They go after the small persecutors, small judges, the local, the mayor and everything. And we see from all over the country cases, but the big one is hiding.
You say obviously that you defend the DPR. You say that the corruption, there's a misperception about it being so corrupt, but it isn't a misperception, is it, that it is inefficient? There are supposed to be something like at least 50 pieces of legislation targeted this year. And how many have actually been passed? It's just a handful, right, so far this year?
Yeah, there is. We also need to introduce the way we measure the performance of the parliament. Because the parliament is a parliament. So meaning it's not a manufacturer company. It's a parliament. Sometimes you make the laws, sometimes you erase the law, sometimes you amend the law.
Yeah.
So lawmaking activities. That's why the lawmaking activities in Indonesia are still controlled by the executive. 75% of our law proposal came from the executive. But then if we don't pass the law, the people said this is because the parliament is ineffective. It's not that way.
So how is it effective if they want?
I want in the future there is no more executive leg in making the law. You give 100% to the legislative chamber.
Yeah.
So everyone can be measured as the performance of the parliament. So there is no more executive part in discussion or managing the bill here.
Yeah.
It's only go through a member of the political party and the parliament. So you can measure them, but now it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because in many cases, it is the government who are not in one word of discussion about law, including the criminal code.
Right.
I think how many years now? The new law that we passed a few weeks ago is the migrant labor protection. It's 9 times delayed, but this is only because the executive they fight each other. There's so many branches of the executive coming here, and we as a member of the parliament only coming from 10 political parties, but we can unite. But those member of the executive, the cabinet, they fight each other.
So your part of your argument is that it isn't that the DPR is inefficient at passing legislation; it's the executive that is holding it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is happening in Indonesia.
Yeah. Okay. So DPR is not corrupt as perceived, and it is not as inefficient as perceived.
Yeah.
You think that people have it wrong, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's for me, elected official is different with those who selected by the government.
Yeah.
Elected official is the voice of the people. It's the voters' right to decide. So you cannot easily blame them.
Yeah. On the other hand, sometimes there's a lot of nepotism, isn't there? There's kind of somebody whose son takes over.
Oh yeah, that is in the old time, but now we are very serious now in managing the recruitment and everything. But in the future, this is also what we want. We want an independent way to manage, financially. Now, financially we are really dependent to the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
Sometimes they came here and said, we will cut your budget like 30%. How can the government that you will control and coming here cutting our budget?
Who said that?
Sometime, and
not the current finance minister.
Yeah, the current finance minister.
Yeah.
sometimes only with one letter, one paper, send a letter, we will cut your budget 30%. But, under this kind of image, it is not popular to say we want to get independent budget, for example. The people will say, oh, you will, you will corrupt everything and something like that. It's not popular to demand things. Our professional, our bureaucrats, it's also under the executive.
Yeah.
They are really scared to become the, opposition of the executive, because the executive control their career, So everything. We want an independent legislative chamber. My example is the United States, because it's very ideal for us to have a very independent, and including the power. In the US, you can shut down the government. We don't want to get the government shut down, but we don't like if the government fight back to kill us, just because we are criticize them. And this is what happened now. You see those political party, because all of these political party now, 7 from 10 are member of the executive. Sometimes they, push the member of the political party not to say things because we are a member of the coalition. It's wrong. In the presidential system, there is no coalition between the parliament and the government, the executive. Our coalition is with the people. The president elected directly by the people, and also the legislative, the parliamentarian also elected directly by executive.
Yeah.
So our coalition goes to the government, the peoples, not between the executive and the legislative, just like in the parliamentarian system.
Yeah.
So this is they take it wrong, but there is no one started to make a correction of this understanding.
If the current speaker remains in legal trouble and gets convicted, would you be the right person to step in as the next speaker, or does it have to be from somebody from the ruling?
Because the system is once you get elected, you represent your party where you are now. So the replacement of the member from Golkar party will be coming from the Golkar.
I see. What do you think will happen to Setya Novanto? Do you think he will get convicted?
I think he will get released. He will be free.
And will be the president.
I'm afraid that, because he is very popular now. I'm joking. No, because in the beginning he was accused of want to take over the share of the Freeport McMoran. At that time. And then they said, Papa minta saham. And then he stepped down. And after that, suddenly, he became the chairman of Golkar party and also the speaker of the house again. So I'm afraid, if now you accuse this man again, he will become the president of this country. Because he's very popular now, Every morning you wake up and you turn on your TV, he's on TV, in every TV now. You see the timeline, everyone is talking about Setya Novanto. I'm afraid he will become the president.
Does he have that kind of ambition?
I don't know. Donald Trump can become the president of the US. He probably.
Well, of course, he was with Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll come back in maybe 2 years and we'll see. Off the record, who do you think will be the next president? Do you think Jokowi has a good chance of winning again?